Happy Wednesday. May the 4th be with you. It's Star Wars Day, and tomorrow is my birthday, Cinco de Mayo. So I'm really excited about that. Going to be working from Russian River Valley wine country here for the next couple days. And I'm still working. Make sure to get the house with 750 megabyte internet so I can crank out my articles, write the videos, give you some of the 49ers news. And there's no real news right now, but I figured there's a lot of observations that I have because I've been making phone calls. I've been talking to coaches of the 49ers draftees. I've been watching tape, and there's just a whole lot I want to get out. I know I get it out on Twitter. I know that I write feature stories, but sometimes you just have little snippets and blurbs as you're working brick by brick. No pun intended. No, if I know the 49ers probably copyrighted that by now, but you're working brick by brick to build all these features and you don't have enough to write a full story yet. You're still working, but I want to share some of the insight that I've gotten on this 49ers draft class with you. And what better avenue to do it than through the YouTube channel? So I know that the video title here is Brock Purdy, 49ers 7th round quarterback. They picked him at number 262, very last pick of the NFL draft. That's called Mr. Irrelevant. It's a joke. He's relevant in the 49ers hearts. And I put on the Brock Purdy tape yesterday, and it struck me that he has a lot of the characteristics that are positive characteristics in Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got a release that's quick as hell, and he's able to deliver off platform, just with a lot of upper body torque. There were a lot of plays at Iowa State where he was getting pressured. He had a guy in his lap, and somehow, some way, Brock Purdy was able to use that core strength, and he's able to flick that ball downfield. And you're like, whoa, how did that throw get out that quickly? And, how was he able to get it with that distance and with that velocity to the spot that it needed to be? And obviously, especially before the ACL tear in 2017, those were all attributes that we talked about a lot regarding Jimmy Garoppolo, and we talked about them in a positive light. So obviously, Brock Purdy's way, way earlier in his developmental curve than a 30-year-old quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, but you could see the attributes that the 49ers liked. He's got a good command of the short game, a nice quick release, and you also can see exactly where the 49ers might slot him in. I predicted in my 53-man depth chart projection, which was the first of the year, that Purdy would be the 49ers QB3 practice squad quarterback. So obviously you got Trey Lance at QB1, Nate Sudfeld with $2 million guaranteed in that QB2 spot for the 49ers, and they need somebody to take Sudfeld's role as QB3 practice squad guy. And I think Brock Purdy is the front runner, obviously, for that spot since they used the draft pick on him, but it wasn't a valuable draft pick. It was literally the last pick in the draft. So he still has a lot to prove, but he's got moxie. He's got a quick release. He's got some accuracy. The 49ers said that they just love how Brock Purdy plays the position, how he uses his eyes to manipulate the defense, how the fundamentals are there. The footwork is there. And then when the footwork can't be there because of duress, he is able to use, creativity. He's got that upper body strength to be able to make some throws. We've already heard Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch say that they've seen some Nick Mullins in Brock Purdy, and they mean that in a complimentary way because the 49ers love the way that Nick Mullins prepared. They love the professionalism with which he carried himself. So that's where the Nick Mullins comparison comes in. And after watching the tape with the release, obviously Jimmy Garoppolo has a lightning quick release. I think that Purdy also has a really plus release, and this could be a good project in the 49ers quarterback room. Again, they love having a deep QB room. So this is in no way a threat to Trey Lance's position on the 49ers roster. I think a lot of people unnecessarily freaked out about that after Purdy was drafted. It's a 7th round pick. Jimmy Garoppolo is likely going to be traded away. You're insulating that room. You need somebody to take Sudfeld's old spot as QB3 to be able to run the scout team and do all that kind of stuff on the practice squad. And I think that Brock Purdy will fit that bill. And it's never a bad thing when you're able to insulate that quarterback room. So those are my thoughts on Brock Purdy. I think he brings some of Jimmy Garoppolo's positive attributes to the table. And he did a lot of good stuff at Iowa State. There's an amazing video of Purdy's family reacting and just going crazy when he was drafted at number 262. In fact, I mean, this is really worth watching. Let's try to find this on Twitter, and we'll toss it up there here maybe in a few minutes. Why don't I go through some of the other notes that I have from around the 49ers roster? Then I'll go back and I'll try to find this video. Maybe I can have Mike text me a link to the video in the meantime. Anyway, 49ers and Cardinals, Mexico City, Monday Night Football, November 21st. It is official. News came out officially this morning at around 6 a.m. from the NFL. The rest of the NFL schedule is going to be released officially, not this Thursday, but the next on May 12th. But we now know at least one game for the 49ers, and that is against Arizona on Monday Night Football, November 21st. It will be technically a home game for the Cardinals. So the 49ers don't lose a home game. They'll still have all 9 of their home games at Levi Stadium. It's going to be at altitude in Mexico City. So we were talking about this at work a little bit the other day. Will the 49ers possibly get their game at Denver the week before so they can stay in Colorado, acclimate to the Mexico City altitude? Maybe the Cardinals would cry competitive disadvantage, but we'll see. I mean, we're going to be writing some altitude stories in the week leading up to the game between the 49ers and the Cardinals in Mexico City. I think it was there was a soccer game there the other day, and somebody was telling me that whoever was playing wasn't from altitude, and that team looked gassed in the second half. I don't know anything about soccer, so it might have been the U.S. national team. I don't know. But altitude is a big deal. And before games at Denver and games at Mexico City this year, it's something that I think definitely will be discussed. And it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the 49ers schedule pans out when it comes out officially next week. Been doing some intel on 49ers offensive lineman Nick Zakelj. Former Mike linebacker. This is intriguing to me. In high school, this guy was a sideline-to-sideline linebacker in Cleveland. And then Fordham came in, started recruiting him, and they're like, well, this kid is big. This kid is a legit 6'3", 245 in high school, earlier in his high school career. And they said, we're going to want him at offensive line. So then the high school that Nick Zakelj attended in that Cleveland area, they needed an offensive lineman. They just had a big-time need up front his senior year, so they converted him to offensive line. And now we see the fruits of that conversion, and obviously some time at Fordham where he really started to excel. Nick Zakelj is about to make and complete the transition from Mike linebacker, sideline to sideline Mike linebacker for most of his high school career, to NFL interior offensive lineman. Now, let's emphasize how rare this kind of career path, positional path is. There's another rare one on the defensive side of the ball for the 49ers. I've talked about this one a lot. Kalia Davis going from Mike linebacker, inside linebacker for UCF. He played 2 seasons of it in college, and now all of a sudden he's a 3-technique defensive tackle. And you could see it in the way that he pops off film. His tackling form is reminiscent of when he played linebacker. It gives him more fluidity to his movement. And I think with Nick Zakelj, same kind of thing. He's got linebacker background, and there's going to be fluidity to his movement that the 49ers even envision potentially at center. And he's smart. He made it into Yale, and he went to Fordham, which is also an Ivy League school. So, I mean, Nick Zakelj, I think, has the cerebral power to potentially play center in the 49ers system. That's what they're projecting. But I think what nobody's talking about are these 2 inside linebacker to interior line conversions, for Kalia Davis to the interior defensive line, and for Nick Zakelj to the interior offensive line, where the 49ers are going to play him and try to develop him, because I think he's a bit more raw than Spencer Burford, who was their 4th-round pick. Drake Jackson came on KMBR this morning, and he said that he got calls from a lot of 49ers, current 49ers. I have to find the list. Matt Barrows did a good job listening to that this morning and tweeting it. And I think Nick Bosa might have been one of the calls that he got. I think George Kittle might have been one of the calls that he got. For sure, Trey Lance. But Drake Jackson, his quote was, "I'm fanboying, but I've got to be professional." That's the 49ers number 61 overall pick, their first pick in this past 2022 draft. And yes, he does need to be professional, but sometimes you just have to sit back and appreciate the cool moment, right? And the cool moment here is being selected to play on one of the NFL's it teams right now. I mean, the 49ers have been to 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl the past 3 seasons. They've obviously gotten a lot of press around the league, and Drake Jackson, he's like all of us that are watching these games on TV or in person. He sees the stardom down there, and I'm writing about the stardom. I'm talking about it on the YouTube channel. A lot of you are tweeting about it. A lot of you are searching YouTube videos of these guys. Well, now Drake Jackson, all of a sudden, he's teammates with these guys, right, who a lot of people look up to, which I think is a cool component of the draft. You get picked and your life changes like that, snap of a finger immediately. And Drake Jackson is getting to live that dream. Yesterday, I had a video after the 49ers signed Jason Verrett, or I guess you could say re-signed Jason Verrett, since he's back in the fold with the team. This move cost the 49ers effectively nothing in salary cap space, and I'll explain why. The top 50 run rule governs the NFL salary cap in the offseason when teams can have up to 90 players. During the regular season, teams can only have 53 players. So that's when the standard salary cap rules are in effect. If you're 53 players combined to be under the cap, you're cap compliant. If they're over the cap, well, you better get cap compliant or the league's going to come down on you. So in the offseason, what does the league do since you have 90? Well, the league only counts the top 51 most expensive cap hits against that season's salary cap. So the 49ers' 51st ranked salary cap hit right now is $895,000. The 49ers signed Jason Verrett to a cap hit of only $895,000. So all it does is displace the number 51st ranked cap hit of $895,000. The difference obviously is zero. That means that the 49ers effectively were able to sign Jason Verrett for free on the cap. Now, they're able to get him at this flyer rate because he's coming off the ACL tear. And they also were able to use the veteran salary exception, which means that Jason Verrett is making $1.12 million, which is the veteran league minimum. And because he agreed to a contract for that amount with certain signing bonus parameters under the CBA, the 49ers can get him at a cap hit of a second-year rookie, which is $895,000. So it's all about saving money at the margins, working the cap in the right way. And because the 49ers did that, Jason Verrett literally costs them nothing, $0 on the cap this offseason. And they could see how his recovery from the ACL progresses. And if it progresses well, boy, this team much more stocked at cornerback than they were last year. Just consider this. In 2021, the San Francisco 49ers secondary was reliant on Jason Verrett staying healthy. In 2022, the 49ers secondary is definitely not reliant on Jason Verrett staying healthy. And instead, Jason Verrett is icing on the cake. It's found money if he delivers. Therein lies the difference between last season and this season. They've spent a lot of time building that secondary, making it deeper so that they don't have to rely on the dubious proposition of Jason Verrett's health. And it's dubious because he's been hurt so many times, but boy, when he's healthy, he's a sticky corner, and it'd be a dream scenario for the 49ers down the stretch of this season if they had Charvarius Ward on one side and Jason Verrett sticking up defenders on the other side. So we'll see what happens as that moves forward. But hey, it doesn't cost the 49ers anything for now. Speaking of deepening the secondary, Samuel Womack, also doing some intel on him right now. I've already mentioned this before. I got to mention it again because I have a pretty long wingspan, right? I'm 6'5". Samuel Womack is 5'9", but his wingspan is essentially the length of Richard Sherman's, who's 6'3". So you have 5'9" agility for the slot cornerback positions, short area quickness galore, 6'8", three-cone drill. That's a really good time for Samuel Womack, plus arm length of Richard Sherman, a tall corner. And obviously Richard Sherman's going to be a Hall of Famer. So because of this, the 49ers actually think that Samuel Womack may have slot outside versatility, that he may be able to do both. But I think at 5'9", with that agility, you're going to want him at the slot because it's a plus in the slot to actually be shorter with those long arms. But that's going to deepen up that secondary for the 49ers. And hey, Samuel Womack can run. I mean, the dude, he's under 4'4", right? 4'3", He's made of the right stuff, too. I mean, the guy was a walk-on in college, earned a scholarship from Detroit to Toledo, walk-on to a scholarship to the National Football League. That's a hell of a story. All right, so we're going to have a little feel-good time right now. This is the reaction from Brock Purdy's family. I've got to open this up for you, but I know that we opened up this video talking about Brock Purdy, talking about some of the skill set similarities to Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, he was picked number 262 in the National Football League draft, which is Mr. Irrelevant, that last pick. But don't say that he's irrelevant to his family or even to the people who are going to give him a custom-made surfboard because he was picked number 262 or a trip to Disneyland. It meant a whole hell of a lot to all those people, especially to Brock Purdy's family. And I have the video right here. Mike was good enough to send it over to us. So let's put this on the screen and get you off on your day with a nice look at something that I think has got to fire you up. You have to love these reactions, this culmination of work that comes in the NFL draft. It's lifelong dream realized, and Brock Purdy was certainly able to enjoy his moment with his family. So thanks to RSF 49ers for posting this, and check it out.
7, Mr. Irrelevant 2022 with the 262nd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select.
Unbridled joy.
The San Francisco 49ers select.
Unbelievable. Did you guys notice that they started yelling before the lady even said his name? And that's because his name popped up on the screen there a split second ahead of time. And they were waiting for that with eagle eyes. Just so cool. So that's Brock Purdy. And maybe I should have taken Samuel Womack's name off the bottom of it. But here, let's find Brock Purdy again. Because at the top of this show, I just thought the release, the ability to throw with torque even without his legs available to throw on some of these plays because of pressure. Some of that reminded me a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo, especially pre-ACL tear. And that's obviously a really good thing because the 49ers are going to have Purdy as their QB3 in all likelihood to start the season. And if you're losing Jimmy Garoppolo, you want to keep that quarterback room as deep as possible. This kid's a gamer out of Iowa State. So go ahead and check out his film. I hope you enjoyed that film. That was cool with his family. And there's a lot of 49er stuff going on right now. So I'm going to keep on collecting some intel. I'm going to keep on coming on over here. Make sure you check out The Athletic because I've got all kinds of articles up there. Yesterday broke down A.J. Brown and his new contract and how that will affect the 49ers negotiations with Deebo Samuel. In fact, I wasn't by a computer yesterday. So why don't I share this with you guys right now so you can go ahead and subscribe to The Athletic. There was a whole separate video on this sucker, of course, as this is a big deal. A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel have seemed to be tied at the hip, right, for quite some time because they have the same agent. They were drafted in the same year. They worked out together before that 2019 draft. Well, A.J. has now signed with the Philadelphia Eagles for the trade, and we have some real parameters for a potential Deebo Samuel deal. And it's based on my understanding, there has been some reapproachment in that situation from both sides. So I think that's going to work itself out, but we'll sit back and see. We're not going to evaluate anything too soon, but it's obvious that the 49ers have leverage, and it's obvious that article is now in the chat section. So go and check it out. Subscribe to The Athletic. Get a full breakdown of what the details of A.J. Brown's new contract mean for Deebo Samuel and the 49ers, a breakdown of the contract, the bonuses, everything in there. So go check that out. It is in the chat section. I'll put it up on the comment section as soon as I sign off of this video. All right, time for me to hit the road, make some more calls. I hope you guys all have a great, great Wednesday. May the 4th be with you. As you know, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm sure a lot of you are too. And we'll talk to you all soon. All right, everybody take care.